Welcome back to Aaron and Elle on Kirby Drive. Today is Friday, October 24th, and let's just get this out of the way early. I was very wrong about the Chargers tonight. I said that they were done. I said that it didn't matter who was at quarterback for the Vikings. I said that they were going to win this game. And the Chargers, man, they blew the Vikings out of the water tonight. I think the final score was Chargers 37, Vikings 10. It was never really close. Yeah, I think the Chargers went up like 14-0 in the blink of an eye and led 21-3 or something like that at half. It was just an ugly game all around. I'll be honest. I thought the Chargers were in a spot that they really couldn't get out of very easily, but Joe Alt came back, and turns out that makes a world of difference for a team like this. I think Kamani Vidal ended up going for like 100 yards on the ground on top of a great night from Justin Herbert. It was just all around just like night and day with this team. I mean, they blew them out of the water. And so, hand up, I was wrong about the Chargers. I still don't think they're that good. Like, I don't think that if they play like an actual team that's not led by Carson Wentz, that they would put up this kind of performance. But for tonight, I was very wrong about the Chargers. Speaking of things being very wrong, let's talk about the Vikings now, because it's all fun and games to watch Carson Wentz go out there and play Looney Tunes mode like he did last week against the Eagles. But the vibe is shifting in Minnesota, and now I'm going to start asking some questions. Now, look, I'm aware that Carson Wentz has had a tough go of it in the NFL. I'm aware that he's doing the best he can with what he has, even though what he has is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason and TJ Hawkinson, so it shouldn't be that hard. His offensive line is falling apart all around him. I think Darius only played like 9 snaps tonight or something like that. So I can understand a little bit why every single play he seemed to be ducking for cover, taking sacks immediately. He was hurting in his left shoulder. He went down a couple times, wincing, grabbing at it, holding his arm. Didn't look like he was having any fun tonight. But there was a moment in this game where I really started to raise my eyebrow at what exactly is happening in Minnesota. Because I think it was Justin Jefferson, running to the sideline with the ball, goes down and starts rolling. A player on the sideline there jumps over him and lands perfectly fine, and then begins to celebrate the first down as if nothing is wrong with him. He looks perfectly healthy. And that player was JJ McCarthy. Now, I'm aware that jumping up and down on the sideline is much different than competing in an NFL football game. I'm aware that you can be healthy enough to do one but not the other. That's perfectly fine. What I am beginning to question is seeing his demeanor on the sideline tonight, the way that he was moving around and communicating with people on the sideline, paired with the fact that when he initially went out, he was supposed to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. And then we have, I think, Schefter reporting that he was always supposed to be out for 6 weeks. And now we're even beyond that point. I just don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's really that bad. Like, they really just don't want to put him out there. I don't know if you just want to have like a favorable comparison to put him back out in front of whenever you say, okay, well, at least he's not Carson Wentz. I don't know what you're waiting on. Maybe he really is hurt. Like, maybe he really is hurt. But all I'm saying is, while the FBI is digging around the NBA, which we'll get to at the end of the show, maybe take a peek down to Minnesota and see what's up there. Because I don't know why he's doing all this. It's just not looking good in Minnesota. It's just not. Like, it looked horrible tonight. I don't know. If you're in Minnesota, you're now 3-4. You've got Carson Wentz falling apart on the sideline. I get he's hurting. I get he's upset. I don't know. Kirk Herbstreit was telling him that he needs to get it together. I don't really know if I agree with that. I kind of get it. I do agree with what he said. I think he almost stepped in a little bit, saying that if Justin Jefferson had been acting like that, it would be all over social media. I don't know if he meant to be, an ally in that moment and point out the double standards when reporting covering players of color and white players, but I think he just kind of did it on accident, which is kind of based. But you can tell the vibes are atrocious, and now you're 3-4. you're probably not going to compete for a wild card spot with that kind of record in the NFC. I think there's like 6 teams that are 5-2 right now already. Um, yeah, I think that you're going to Detroit next week, and you just seems like one of your only hopes is hoping you can reel them in because you still get to play them twice. And so going forward, if JJ McCarthy is going to come back, he needs to do it now, like right now, because this team is falling apart without something to like have hope in. Even I don't know if he's good enough to play in the NFL. I don't know if you're at the point, if you're a Vikings fan, where you start questioning if maybe you would have liked to keep Sam Darnold around, or if you would have liked to see if Daniel Jones had anything left in the tank before he walked out the door. It's very interesting to me that you made that pick, you picked JJ McCarthy, and you have him as your quarterback of the future. Then you stumble upon Sam Darnold, and you happen to have Daniel Jones in the building, and somehow you end up stuck holding the worst of the 3 bags. It's absurd to me, and I can't even blame them because nobody in their right mind would have bet on Daniel Jones to be this good. And everybody watched Sam Darnold turn back into a pumpkin on national TV last year multiple times. So I can't even be upset with them for the decision that they made, but they got to be kicking themselves for choosing JJ McCarthy out of those 3 guys. I mean, it's just a brutal look to have JJ McCarthy be the one that you picked. Oh, yeah. But outside of that, like, there's one other moment from this game that I just want to talk about. They were talking about the Chargers and 49ers Super Bowl from 94 on the broadcast for some reason. And Kirk Herbstreit turned to Al Michaels and was like, what was your favorite part of that game? Like, I think he was maybe broadcasting back then. Definitely young, like old enough to have seen it in the moment. And the first thing that Al Michaels was talking about was how a Hail Mary almost caused the over to hit or caused a bet to change, or it was almost like a bad beat for whoever was betting on, I don't know, Chargers minus or plus 19.5, which is an all-time Al Michaels moment, but there's no way that guy's not a degenerate gambler. I'm sorry. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't think there are restrictions on announcers gambling, but to remember the spread of a game that happened 30 years ago is diabolical. Almost enough to respect. So shout out Al Michaels for that. That's generational degeneracy right there. But I don't know. This game was, absolute ass whooping. I'm sorry, Chargers fans, if I haven't talked a lot about your team. It's just not interesting to me right now. Because I think, really, I'm just salty that you couldn't beat the Colts last week. But I don't know. Justin Herbert played well this week. We'll see if he can continue to play well against a team, again, not led by Carson Wentz. That's all I want to see. I think they play the Titans next week, though. So, hey, the sky was almost falling. You're lucky you didn't lose to the Dolphins, but now you might end up being 6-3 through 9 weeks. Who knows? You probably will be, is what I mean to say, because the Titans aren't going to beat you. And now that we've discussed the Thursday night game, our Let 'Em Know Player of the Week, I almost forgot that we needed to name one. You know what? I think this week it's going to have to be Justin Herbert just because the way that he played. I don't know why every defense really that plays against Justin Herbert insists on rushing up the field as fast as possible, because every other play, I mean, I think he had like 7 carries for 62 yards or something like that, but it felt like every other play he was just squirting out of the middle of like the line just parts for him, and he just runs straight down the middle of the field for 10, 15 yards every time, like clockwork. Every time they needed it, he was just out like a cannon, just shooting straight down the middle of the field, and I just don't know how it happens every single play. But he had ridiculous throws, one of them to Lad McConkey to end the half. It was just, after the weeks that he's had the past couple days, or the past couple weeks, I guess having Joe Alt back, maybe he should get the award. But I'll go to Justin Herbert for now, because he just played impeccable tonight. And now, let's move on to our weekend preview. First game is one that I will be in attendance at. I think Ellie and I will both be there. It's 49ers at Texans, Houston by 1.5. And I know we said the season's over. I know we said that we're done, but we need to win this game. Losing to Sam Darnold and Mac Jones in back-to-back weeks would literally break me. Would literally melt my brain. I can't deal with that. So the Texans need to win this game. Good news and bad news for the Texans. The good news is that the offense can't look much worse than it did last week. The bad news is that it might, because Nico Collins is not looking like he's got a good chance to play. He's got a concussion that he picked up late in the game. I don't know. Christian Kirk is still out with a hamstring injury. I don't think he's going to play. It's just not looking great for the offense. The better news is that this 49ers defense is decimated with injury, although it didn't seem to matter against the Falcons last week. And their offense is nowhere near as good as, well, I don't know how good the Seahawks offense is. I think the 49ers don't have a Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? That's the only thing that we can look forward to. George Kittle's back, and I'm a little bit worried about that. But I think if you bracket him in coverage with your safeties and you have linebackers helping coverage as well, I think you can manage that, right? I think the fact that no Ricky Pearsall, still no Brandon Ayuk, I don't think. You've got Christian McCaffrey and you've got George Kittle to worry about, and I think that you can maybe manage, right? If you can semi contain the Seahawks offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba, even though he did go for 1,000,000 yards, I think you can maybe manage to control this 49ers offense. And then the offense just needs to do something with the ball when they get it back, because I need them to win this game. But if we go to this game and it's bad, the vibes are going to be atrocious. I already know that it's going to be like the first time the Texans punt the ball, the stadium's going to erupt in boos. I know that for sure, especially if it's a 3-and-out on the first drive, like it's almost certainly going to be. It is going to be bad vibes at NRG all day. But we need to win this game. If the Texans even want to pretend like they have a chance to do anything this season, which I don't think they have any right being competitive this year, but these guys are all professionals. They want to keep playing their season. If they want to get a chance to keep doing that, they need to win this game here, because you don't have a ton more Mac Jones on your schedule. You got a lot more Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs on your schedule. So you need to lock in. There's 3 guys who really needed to step up for us to win this game, and it's the rookies. It's Woody Marks, it's Jalen Noel, and it's Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel should be leading the receiver room this weekend with no Nico Collins there. Woody Marks didn't have a great game on the ground last week, but the Seahawks are very good against the run. I don't think the 49ers are that great against it either, or as good against it. So if we can get him going, if Nick Chubb can contribute positively, and then our 2 rookie receivers can come in and take a big step up, which is what they'll need to do for us to win this game, I think we have a chance. Ellie and I are both picking the Texans because we can't take it anymore. But if they lose this game, it's going to be full meltdown mode. Like, we may be calling for firings after this game, and we may be getting some chants in the stadium. So I'll keep you guys posted. Maybe we'll post something from the game, but I don't know. I'm more afraid than anything. I don't know. I can't deal with this team anymore. We need to win this game just to save us from embarrassment, honestly. Next game, Jets at Bengals, Cincinnati by 6.5. Looks like Tyrod Taylor is going to get the start if he can go. I think he's questionable with a hamstring injury, but it looks like he's probably going to play. Either way, I think this Jets offense is just bad. I don't see them winning this game at all. They couldn't get into the end zone last week with either quarterback versus the Panthers, and that game was right there for the taking the entire time, just like the Broncos game was. If they had scored a touchdown in either one of those games, they might have 2 wins in a row. But you can only manage field goals and a safety, I guess. It's never going to work out for you. Garrett Wilson's still not practicing. Probably doesn't want to come back, honestly. I don't know why he would want to. I don't know. Like, the Bengals are not a great team. They're okay, right? They're fine. Someone did tell me that they were going to come out of the AFC, like that was going to be them and the Colts in the AFC Championship game in one of our TikTok comments. I thought that was kind of crazy. They're not that good, but they're okay, right? They'll probably win this game at home. The one thing I do want to talk about from this game, though, is comments by Jets owner Woody Johnson, who really just threw Justin Fields under the bus in his, I don't know, post-media scrum with some reporters. They were asking him questions about the team and Aaron Glenn's performance. I know I've come on here. I've come on here a couple weeks in a row and questioned why anyone still thinks Justin Fields should be a starting NFL quarterback in this league. I know that I've spoken pretty poorly of him in the past. And I stand by that. Like, I don't think he's very good at all. And I think that that's reflected in the Jets' record and the way that they've been playing, right? I think that's all fair to say. That's part of, like, a criticism as that I can see with my own eyes as a fan. Woody Johnson throwing his quarterback under the bus, saying, look at any head coach with a quarterback like that. You're going to see similar results. Just doesn't sit right with me. Like, there's nothing, and I say this all the time about, mostly it's about people who are, like, ignorant, whose parents or spouses are more ignorant than they are, and I can see where they're coming from, where they get it from, you know what I mean? There's nothing I hate more than the bigger villain behind the villain, right? And I don't think Justin Fields is a villain. I think he's just a guy who has had a rough go of it at quarterback in the NFL. But for Woody Johnson to tell anybody else that they're bad at their job, I don't know, man. That makes me a little sick, especially because he used this. He said that things weren't jiving, which just makes my skin crawl coming out of his goblin ass mouth. I don't know. It was just a. I already don't really fuck with guys with that much money who are the way that Woody Johnson is. The fact that he has run this Jets franchise the way he has for the past however many years he's owned the team and has the audacity to talk about someone that he went out and paid money to, first of all, but then anyone doing any of their job. Like, he couldn't walk into a McDonald's, in my opinion, and tell someone that they're doing their job wrong. I would be belligerent in defense of that McDonald's worker. I would say, look, I think, honestly, if you were behind the counter right now, you'd fuck it up based on how bad a job you've been doing managing the Jets. So, I don't know. I can understand the frustration, and I think it's perfectly normal for people who are, like, fans of a team to be like, I don't think this is the answer, and for coaches to respectfully inform their players of that decision. But for the owner of your team, who has just been fucking everything up for as long as I can remember, to be like, yeah, our quarterback kind of sucks. It's like, why are you even taking questions about this, you know? You shouldn't be involved in football operations at all. But here you are making your opinion known, so I don't know. Ellie and I are both picking the Bengals in this game because the Jets are just in disarray. And yes, part of it is because Aaron Glenn hasn't been able to connect with the defense as well as maybe people thought he would, although they played better as of late. And yes, part of it is because Justin Fields is not very good at quarterback. But it's mostly because Woody Johnson has no clue what he's doing. And I just want to make that clear. So, let's move on to the next game because the Jets are just a bummer. Let me double check that I'm still recording here. So I get really, really, really nervous about that, especially in this setup. Because last time I zoomed in on my face like 100 times. I don't know if you saw that. Okay, we're still good. So, next game is Bears at Ravens, Baltimore by 6.5. I think that if anybody but Lamar Jackson's playing quarterback for the Ravens, the Bears win this game easily. I don't think that there's many teams that would lose to the Ravens besides the Jets without the threat that Lamar Jackson presents in that Baltimore backfield. Because even whenever like Derrick Henry sort of got it going last week with Cooper Rush and then Tyler Huntley under center, the Rams were never in any danger of losing that game. Although they were like toying around with them for a while, they were always going to pull out the win. Now the Bears have been playing some really messy football themselves. I don't trust their defense. I know they're taking the ball away a lot, but I don't think that they're consistently good enough to continue to play defense at a high level if you're just only relying on turnovers, right? Because some of that is just the ball bouncing your way a couple times. It's not always going to happen. You have to be more consistent, stopping people, forcing punts, and getting off the field rather than just counting on interceptions to pull you off the field whenever like people are driving on you. So I don't really trust the Bears in any aspect of their game. Like I think that their offense has trouble in the red zone, especially with like the snaps and stuff that have caused them to miss out on opportunities to score multiple times these past couple weeks. But what I really don't trust is the Ravens without Lamar Jackson, like at all. You just can't play football the way that they have without him. It's just not good. So I think if Lamar plays, this game will be worlds different. I think it'll still be a close game if Lamar plays. I think surprisingly, I feel like the Bears still have a chance. The way they're running the ball, they still have a shot either way, like whether Lamar plays or not. But also, the Bears themselves are bottom 10 in run defense as well. So if Lamar's back and they can no longer just solely key in on Derrick Henry, the Ravens could get things going back to the way that they were whenever they were playing in Buffalo the first half. So I don't know. I think Lamar Jackson's probably going to play. I don't think he can afford not to because if you lose this game, it's really over. Right now, you still have the Bengals and the Steelers kind of just screwing around a couple games ahead of you. So I think that Lamar is going to play if he can. I think it's going to take a lot to keep him out of this game. And because of that, and because they're so desperate, I think that Ellie and I are both going to pick the Ravens there. Moving on to Dolphins at Falcons, Atlanta by 7.5. Lefty quarterback game here. Michael Penix versus Tua Tagovailoa. Although I'm going to be honest and say we maybe could see an extended Quinn Ewers appearance this week. I think we're going to be on watch for that because Tua's already thrown 10 interceptions. I think Mike McDaniel, if you've seen the clips online, very visibly frustrated whenever Tua threw his second one last week. And I think that he said, his quote was like, Tua is going to be quarterback for this team and the expectation that he's not going to throw any more interceptions. Which, yeah, I guess that's the standard. He hasn't been living up to it yet. And I just don't know if they have any chance of winning this game. I just don't think they do at all. Darren Waller, the only one who really seemed intent on scoring for the team, has gone to IR. So now it's just Devon Achane out there by himself. The good news for them is that Michael Penix has only thrown 5 touchdowns through 6 games. The bad news is that Bijan Robinson is going to run all over them this weekend. And I don't think it's even going to be close. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. He should have a field day against this defense. The Dolphins are still the only team to allow more than 1,000 yards on the ground, and they're all the way up over 1,100 right now. So over 100 yards more than the next closest team that they're allowing on the ground. It is just, I don't know, they can't stop a nosebleed. They had 3 touchdowns scored on them by Quinshon Judkins last weekend. The ground defense is just atrocious, and I think that the Falcons are going to exploit that. Michael Penix doesn't have to be that good to win this game, and I think that's the kind of game that he's able to win more times than not. So Ellie and I are both picking the Falcons there as well, which I am down 1-0 because I picked the Vikings to win that game. So we still don't have a chance to come back yet, but we'll move on to Bills at Panthers, Buffalo by 7.5. Bryce Young's probably going to miss this game. I don't think that changes things too much. I know that some Carolina fans are mad and they keep getting in our DMs talking about, we don't know what we're talking about, how Bryce Young is so good. I don't really care. I don't think that this offense changes at all with Bryce Young versus Andy Dalton. Maybe you get a little bit less running out of the quarterback position, but you probably get a little better passing out of the quarterback position if we're being honest with Andy Dalton in. So he's not going to be able to extend plays like he used to. He's not going to be able to expend, certainly not as well as Bryce Young would be able to, but a veteran guy who knows what he's doing, who can throw the ball a little bit better than Bryce can, even at his advanced age. I think it's going to be the same result, and I think that result is going to be the Bills winning by 1 million. The Panthers, they're undefeated at home. So I'll give them that. They're also undefeated since Meow Mix went off the air. But I just think the Bills and Josh Allen especially are just too good to lose to this Panthers team. I know they've scraped a couple wins out here and there, but I mean to barely beat the Jets and then have to play the Bills next week, just not a recipe for success at all. The other thing is that I think the Bills are going to be a little bit desperate here, right? They can't afford to lose games to the Panthers when the Patriots have the easiest schedule in the NFL, it feels like. They're already trailing them for the division, and they've already lost to them once. The Bills have to play perfect football against teams that they should beat, and I don't doubt their ability to do that here. So I'm picking the Bills. Ellie's also going to pick the Bills, even if Rico Dowdle goes for 100 plus yards on the ground because they can't stop a nosebleed. I still think Josh Allen's going to out-duel Andy Dalton in the running back room for the Carolina Panthers. Next game up, Giants at Eagles, Philadelphia by 7.5. There's no way the Eagles get swept by the Giants this season, right? I don't know. I don't think it's possible. The Giants have lost 12 straight games in Philadelphia, including once in the playoffs. That means it's been at least 11 years since the Giants have swept the Eagles. I know that they looked pretty impressive in their first win over the Eagles, but I just don't see it happening again. I think that was like a first divisional game at home on primetime with everybody like super excited to watch it in the Giants stadium. That boosted them to that win. I think the Eagles are better than the Giants on paper, at least. And I just don't know how the Giants can recover coming off such a heartbreaking loss last week. I know that would be tough for even the most experienced guys, but for a bunch of young guys to come off of a loss that heartbreaking, it's going to be really difficult. As for the Eagles, they seem to have figured something out through the air. Hopefully they can keep it consistent because if they go back to playing like garbage, I'm just going to throw my hands up and say, I don't even know what you're trying to accomplish because they seem to figure it out for halves at a time. And this week they seem to have it, at least consistently throughout the whole game, sprinkled in here and there. What they really need to get figured out is their run game because if you get out to a lead and then you can't sustain drives by running the football, burning clock, you're going to have a hard time holding on to it. And the Giants, Jackson Dart showed us last week that he can go down, he can win a football game if he needs to, as long as his kicker makes their kicks. So, I don't know. I think the Eagles, they figured something out last week, right? But they need to get the run game going if they want to put the Giants away at any point. And if you don't, who knows? They might come back and sneak up on you. So, I'm picking the Eagles. Ellie is picking the Giants here. She believes in her team. She believes in the Giants. She is a Giants correspondent, and she's picking them to win at the Eagles in Philadelphia. So that's the first game where we differ. We'll see if I can make up my point there or not. Last game of the afternoon, or morning, I guess. Browns at Patriots, New England by 6.5. This is another easier game on the Patriots schedule. I think that the Browns defense obviously is no joke. The only thing that, not the only thing, but I'm leaning more towards the Patriots because the Browns scored over 17 points last weekend for the first time since last November. It's been a long time since they managed that. What are the odds they do it 2 games in a row? I don't know. I will say that they needed 3 Tua Tagovailoa interceptions and 3 Quinshon Judkins rushing touchdowns to get to that number. So I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, given that the Patriots are 3rd in the league as far as rushing yards per game goes at 77.1 allowed. It's going to be tough sledding for the Browns, especially because I think that the Patriots can game plan exclusively to stop the run this week and try and make Dylan Gabriel beat them through the air. I'll be surprised if he can do that, if I'm being honest. I don't think that that's something that's in the cards for the Browns here. I think that if the Patriots can shut down the run game and break through that Browns defense once or twice, I think they probably get the win here. Ellie agrees, so we're both going Patriots for that game. Now to the 3 o'clock games. Buccaneers at Saints. Tampa Bay by 4.5. It's a little bit of a crazy spread, I think. I don't think that that's representative of the distance between these teams as far as like roster construction goes. Um, I don't know. I get like Mike Evans is gonna miss some time. And Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin are out this week as well, so maybe that explains some of the discrepancy. And I guess the Buccaneers didn't look great against the Lions on Monday night. But I mean, Emeka Ibuka is still out there, still doing his thing. I think he's questionable, but he'll probably play again. Um, I still think that Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback. I know that he didn't play amazing on Monday night. He was off or something for some reason. I'm not sure what was going on with him, but I can understand like a bad game, and I still think that he will bounce back in this one. Um, yeah, that on top of that, like Alvin Kamara, like the Saints haven't exactly been blowing it out of the water these past couple weeks either. Alvin Kamara hasn't broken 35 yards rushing in the last 3 games. So they're not doing anything on the ground. And Spencer Rattler threw 3 interceptions last week. So through the air has been a struggle as of late as well. I don't see the Buccaneers losing this game, even though it is in New Orleans. I don't think it's going to be as close even as the line says it is. I think the Buccaneers are going to get right here against the Saints. As far as other news from this game, like Kellen Moore says that Spencer Rattler will continue at quarterback for the Saints, which makes sense, right? Like I think maybe at some point, regardless of how well Spencer Rattler's playing, unless he like really starts playing like a guy who you can't afford to not have out there at quarterback, you probably still want to give Tyler Shuck just a couple looks just to see if he's any good, just to see if you know what you've got. Um, but at least for the time being, I can understand like Spencer Rattler, not really the problem in New Orleans. Like he's played serviceably. Last week was bad, it was a really bad game, but he's played all right. And then the last thing, is just a weird note, is that I went to look at the injury report for this game, and Teddy Bridgewater is listed on the injury report, parentheses, teeth. So he has some sort of teeth injury. I'm not sure what what that is. It's the first time I've seen that on an NFL injury report. Looks a little bit strange for sure. He probably just got some sort of surgery or something that he can't fully play yet with, but I don't know. Just to see him listed there for like a toothache is crazy to me. Um, Next game up, Titans at Colts. Indianapolis by 13.5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this game's going to be close at all. Cam Ward has had some pretty hilarious turnovers this season. I think he's lost the ball trying to throw it forward um, at least twice that I can remember off the top of my head. That's why I think that this week, they're not going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be particularly close either. But for this week, I think if Cam Ward can escape without fumbling the ball, without going Jameis Winston mode, without losing the ball from your grip as you're going back to throw it, I think that's a win. I think it doesn't matter if you throw for 0 yards, get sacked a million times. As long as you don't do that little number where you throw the ball behind you on accident, I think that's an improvement. As for the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you, but the Colts are going to win. There's literally no way that they don't win this year's Super Bowl. Like, they have the best offense. Their defense is playing out of their minds. Jonathan Taylor's unbelievable. Daniel Jones is playing like an MVP candidate. The Colts are the 1 seed in the AFC. The playoffs are going to run through Indianapolis. The Colts are going to win easily, right? Easily. I can't see any other way that it ends. There's literally no other way that this season finishes. The Colts are far and away the best team that I've probably seen ever. I mean, the way that they're playing is unbelievable. I don't think that you can get better than the Colts. I think that if they were to lose somehow, which isn't going to happen, it would be a huge disappointment. It would be soul crushing, I think, to the city of Indianapolis and to everyone in Indiana. But it's okay because that's not going to happen. Like, these Colts are for real. Daniel Jones is going to be the Super Bowl MVP. Close battle with Jonathan Taylor. There is nothing stopping the Colts They are winning every game the rest of their schedule. Not even going to be a close contest this game. I mean, they're going to blow the Titans out of the water. They're that good. And yeah, like I said, you heard it here first. The Colts are going to win the Super Bowl this year. There's literally no way. Like, you can seal it. If you live in Indianapolis, buy your tickets now. Buy your tickets to the Super Bowl right now. Book your hotels. Plan to take a day off for the parade. Really, clear your schedule. You can write it down. I'm checked out. Like, playoff time comes, I don't even know why we bother. We know who's winning this season, okay? It's over. Cash your checks. Place your bets now. It's over. Yeah, Ellie and I are both picking the Colts because there's literally no way they lose another game the rest of the season. There's no way. There's no way. They're unbeatable. Next game, Cowboys at Broncos. Denver by 3.5. This game is going to be very interesting, right? Because I think that the Cowboys defense is very bad and the Broncos defense is very good. But the Cowboys offense looks incredible. With CeeDee Lamb out there and with George Pickens playing the way he has been playing and Javonte Williams and Jake Ferguson, those guys stepping up as well. It's going to be really hard for even the best defense in the league to stop them. So I think the Broncos are going to struggle a little bit to contain them. And I think that Dak Prescott can really bolster his MVP case by winning this game against the Broncos in Mile High. That being said, the Broncos offense struggled for 3.5 quarters against the Giants last week before they really came to life, turned it all the way up. So I think that they can continue to get right against this Cowboys defense. It's just going to be the Broncos offense is very inconsistent. Are they how much better are they than the Cowboys defense? And is that amount more or less than how much better the Cowboys offense is than the Broncos defense? I don't know. I think that the Denver defense could probably hold up better in a shootout, if that's what's to break out, than the Cowboys defense can. But the Broncos offense, I don't know if they can keep up with the scoring potential of the Cowboys offense. So it's going to be a close one, I think. The one thing I will say is that Dallas is tied for first in first half scoring with 18.1 points per game. They are just the kings of getting out to an early start. And then the Broncos have not been, right? They struggle to get going and they often end up having to come back from behind. I think if they're not careful, the Dallas Cowboys can go up by 1 million in a hurry. So I'm picking the Cowboys. Ellie's picking the Broncos. I'm banking on the Cowboys jumping on them, even though it's a very tough place to play. I think that with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak Prescott playing the way he is, also being very bald, I think that they can get it done in Mile High. And with that, we'll move on to Sunday Night Football. Packers at Steelers. Green Bay by 2.5. This is a game that I wish was being played in Lambeau, because I think that would just be electric to have Aaron Rodgers come back and play his old team there at home. But we'll take the game in Pittsburgh. I think it'll be a good game. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is living for the drama, I'm sure. I haven't heard any quotes from him yet, but I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it during the broadcast. As for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, they're coming off a bad loss to the Bengals 10 days ago on Thursday Night Football, whenever Joe Flacco should have won our Let Him Know Player of the Week. I don't know. The Steelers have never looked convincing to me. They definitely didn't against the Bengals, but they're playing a much better Packers team now, who are coming off a bad win over the Cardinals, because they looked like they were going to lose that game for a long time, and then they didn't. So both of these teams are kind of I think the Packers are the better team on paper, but I do think this is somewhat of a fraud bowl. I think that we'll probably go ahead and say the loser of this game is not great, and the winner is, they get to stick around for another week and say, okay, I guess you're all right. I guess you're fine. That being said, I'm picking the Packers to be that team who hangs around and says, "Yeah, we're okay." They've been in games like this all year, and they'll probably let the Steelers hang around for way longer than they should, but they usually end up on top, or at least tied, I guess. As for the Steelers, they found ways to lose these close games, and they tried to lose the Patriots game that they won. So I think that they're going to end the night just a half game above the Bengals. Um, but Elliott thinks they're going to win and stick around a little bit longer. So we'll see what happens. And finally, moving to Monday Night Football, Commanders at Chiefs. Kansas City by 11.5. I'm sure this game looked really appetizing on paper for the league when it was scheduled. Unfortunately, now Marcus Mariota is replacing Jaden Daniels, who has a minor injury to his hamstring, so he's going to miss this game. Hopefully not more time because the Commanders can't afford it. But I think they're 3-4 now. Real danger of going 3-5, letting the Eagles pull away from them, having the Cowboys pass them even more. The good news for them is that Marcus Mariota has won an Arrowhead before. He did beat Alex Smith in the playoffs where he threw a touchdown pass to himself. He did end Alex Smith's career in a Kansas City uniform. So he has experience here. I mean, that was 2018, so 7 years ago, which is crazy to think about. Makes me feel really old. So he's done it before, but I just don't think this is a different Chiefs team than that Chiefs team that he played. Let's be real. And this is a different Chiefs team than they've been the first 4 weeks of the season. They're catching fire now. They just beat the crap out of the Raiders. I think that they're going to win by a lot. And I just don't think it's going to be a great game overall. But who knows? People have been telling me all week, football is football, and I'll still be watching it. But I just think that the Chiefs are going to win by a lot, and I think the Ellie agrees. So that's our picks and previews for this week. Let us know which pick you're making. Let us know if you're placing any bets this weekend. Always gamble responsibly. I think we're going to learn that here in a second, that's very important to do. Always, and let us know how your team's doing, how you're liking the show. Let us know if you have any questions for us about the picks, and let us know who you think made better predictions for this weekend. Before we close out, I've just got some any other business. The NBA is back, so I want to talk about some highlights from that real quick. So VJ Edgecombe, the number 3 overall pick in this year's draft, he went crazy in his debut, dropped 34 points. That's the most in 66 years, since I think Wilt Chamberlain allegedly scored more than that. Because everything is alleged with Wilt Chamberlain now, I guess. I don't know. And then, of course, because I deserve nothing more, the Rockets lose their opener to OKC in Oklahoma on opening night. It was game of the year already, right? One game in. Double overtime, had everything in it. It was just wild from wire to wire. But of course, the Rockets run into the same problem they did last year, where they have no one who can close. Everybody, including KD, is missing free throws whenever they need to hit them. And you could have won in regulation if you had just hit your free throws, KD. But even then, we brought him in to be a closer, and the team seemed allergic to giving him the ball in those big moments. I don't know why people are blatantly staring him in the face and then looking away and trying to score their own bucket. Alperen Şengün, he's the only one who I'm all out from because he got it done. He scored, I think, twice to keep the game going, in overtime and then double overtime. But I don't know. I don't know what this team is doing. Obviously it's their first game playing together, so I will cut them some slack. But it was just disheartening to see the same thing happen, where it's okay, this team is good, but whenever push comes to shove and things get tight, they crumble. And that's what happened a little bit. It really was closer than I thought it would be whenever all that started to happen. I don't know. Amin Thompson went out at the start of the first overtime or somewhere close to it. Really put a damper on things because he was in his bag offensively. He was just, I don't know, he was, again, not passing the ball to KD, but with the game on the line, with 2 to 3 minutes left, he was scoring on every possession. Alperen Şengün, I think, had like 40 points. He's incredible, as always. We just have to get the ball to KD when the game's on the line. There's a lot of talk about Reed Shepherd not having a great night, not being able to defend the MVP of the league, I guess. What can you expect from the kid? I know that he can ball. I know that he can hoop. I'm not worried about him at all. This isn't a role that he was prepared to take on. I don't think that he was ready. Like, obviously, again, he comes into the season and he's set to play limited minutes behind Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson in the point guard position. And now all of a sudden Fred's gone and you have to step into an elevated role, which I know that like he's been hoping for, but maybe wasn't exactly preparing for all the way through summer. So it's going to take some time to adjust. I get it. I'm going to cut him some slack. And I know that he can play ball. I know that he can hoop. So I think we need to chill out on Reed Shepherd. I think we all need to calm down. I think we're going to be fine. I was crashing out a little bit after the game because we were hot on the heels of the Texans losing. And then, I just couldn't take it. The Texans being the same team they were last year and the Rockets seemingly losing the same way they did last year as well. I couldn't handle it. But it was a good game against the defending champs on their ring night, opening day, first game of the NBA season, prime time, first game back on NBC. They played their hearts out, and I think that they have a lot of good players that are going to contribute a lot to every game. And I think that's really exciting. So, looking forward to the Rockets season. There's two other things that I want to talk about that probably a little bit worse for the NBA than that first game was, because people were very excited about that for the NBA. And now we've got an FBI investigation into some illegal gambling going on. So Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier arrested by FBI agents, I think today, for their involvement in illegal gambling activities. Now, Chauncey Billups is the crazier one, I think, because he was arrested for being part of a group that I guess was allegedly fixing card games. I think I read something about like an X-ray table or something like that. In order to defraud members of some pretty prominent crime families in New York, like some real mafia shit. Which, by the way, isn't it incredible that we've gotten an actual real-life heist of the Louvre and then, like, some mafia plot in the same week? This is, like, huge day for old-school crime. Like, fully back. All the way back. Incredible. But, yeah, I'm sure that Chauncey Billups is glad that the FBI got to him first, because it sounds like he was messing with some pretty scary people. I guess there's still like the mafia just fucking it up in New York. I didn't know that, but that's who he's fucking with. I don't know why. As for Terry Rozier, he has been accused of like pulling himself out of games, tipping off players whenever he's like dealing with an injury that he hasn't disclosed properly to like the betting people, I guess. I don't know. And that's a big no-no, to hand out tips, or I don't know if he's betting on games himself, but he certainly was like giving confidential information to, I think, his childhood best friend, who then was selling that information for large sums of money. So obviously not a good look. And we're doing innocent until proven guilty, but I've seen some of the game tape from games that he allegedly bet on. It's not looking good. I think he may be guilty because some of these shots are not even close to the rim. And I mean, certainly like some of the passes are just fully just handing the ball to the other team. He's not even trying to make it look like he's trying. So I don't know. Things are looking bad for these guys. There's been a couple people who've been busted in the NBA for illegal betting these last couple of years. I don't know what's up. I don't know why you would ever do anything to risk your game check as an NBA player, because you're making bank as an NBA player. Like, what else could you need? I can't believe it. But I guess like it's hard to like to feel that way whenever all any of these organizations do is push gambling. Like, I think that they were talking about this on ESPN. Like, they were discussing these arrests on ESPN, and the entire time the ticker has their ESPN bet logo in it until they decided, oh, I guess it's inappropriate. Let me try and like hide it. Let me take it away. Um, so I don't know. I don't think that just like I think some people were saying like, oh wow, that like that justifies or like you love it, so that justifies them doing this. I don't think so. I don't think that justifies anyone breaking the rules because they're aware of what they are. I just think that I don't know. I don't know what I think. I think it's just a crazy juxtaposition of like, don't gamble, you'll be arrested. Which I mean, what Chauncey Billups was doing had nothing to do with the NBA. I don't think so. Although I think maybe he did some slight informing or something from the article I was reading, as well, similar to what Terry Rozier was doing. I don't know. I don't think that people will say like, oh, but like y'all love to advertise ESPN Bet though. And I don't really know exactly what argument they're trying to make. Like, I get it. Like, it's a little bit weird. Like, there's mixed messages coming from the NBA on like, don't gamble, but also like, please gamble. Um, but I think that these guys are well aware that like, obviously they don't see an ESPN Bet advertisement and be like, that's for me. I should do that. No, I think they've been warned very thoroughly not to gamble on their own teams. I think everybody in the world knows not to do that. Um, but still, it's very much like, all right, maybe like this hyper prevalence of gambling is not good for anyone, and I don't think that anyone in the sports world is going to address that anytime soon because it just makes too much money. So I don't know, wild week already in the NBA. Just this league moment type shit. Like, it's fully back. And I'm gonna get more invested because if the Texans lose to the 49ers, I will lose my mind and I will just fully be. This will become a Rockets podcast instead of a Texans podcast. It'll be done for the season. So have that to look forward to, I guess, if you're sick and tired of us being upset every week at the Texans. But that's gonna do it for me today. Hopefully, I think Ellie will be here next weekend or this next episode after the weekend. Um, yeah, maybe a little bit shorter this week, but I just really wanted to get something out, and it's kind of hard to talk for however long uninterrupted just by myself. So thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Aaron. This has been Aaron and Elle on Kirby Drive. Again, Ellie will join us next week after the games. Um, Please just let us know how you're liking the show. Get in touch with the podcast. Send us anything you find out there at ANEOKD on TikTok and at on Kirby Drive on Instagram. If you're still following the Instagram, check us out on TikTok because Instagram is just super hard for me to keep up with. It's just not a good platform for uploading videos the way that I do. So, yeah, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Um, and yeah, leave a review, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Just make the numbers go up. All right, make the numbers go up. Um, we're doing good on TikTok, but we need numbers up everywhere. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.